Hi everybody, MJ here. Just trying out a new feature here. PRISM Live Studio now has an RTMP camera input capability. As you see in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, I'm showing the traffic. Now, of course, there's a little bit of a limitation because I'm using the Jar Jar's network, and if things really go south, Mike Fist Bump, good to see you, thank you. If things go south because the, excuse me, the network slows down, I'll abandon the camera. Now, before I forget, I want to take my battery bank out and make sure that I plug the phone in, because the last time I neglected to do that, this phone is getting old, but it just goes to show you how ahead of its time it was. Hang on, I'm going to do something here. Hold on. I'm going to turn my volume down. Hey, Matthew, how's it going? All right. Hey, good to see you. All right. Nice to see everybody here. And okay, so can you hear me okay? I have the mic turned down a little bit. I don't want it quite so loud. But you can tell me what you think of this new, like, crazy little thing here, you know? That's the remote camera. What this is this is my tablet sitting on the table. My tablet sitting on the table. Sorry about this. And I think the chat covers that, if I'm not mistaken, which would be good. That's what we want. But sometimes we talk about what's going on. And I know you guys like the under and over video that I did with the 360. This is kind of a way to see kind of like both what's going on in front and what's going on in back. And the truth is, you know, obviously being PRISM Live Studio, this is just another kind of overlay. Excellent, thanks. Thank you. This is just another overlay. So the truth is, if I wanted to, I could, hang on, let me just put this back. Faye, wow, good to have you with us. Fist bump to you. You know what, I think it's because we're on a little bit earlier, which is good. I like being on earlier, thank you. If I was to do this, if I was to do this, and maybe like, make it like, let's see if I can, hang on. Nah, I can't do it. I don't think I can. I don't think I can drag this. Okay, so let me just put that back. Okay, that's the full screen. That is the that's the overlay. Put it back. I'm just gonna see if I can do it. Hey, Dave, how's it going, bro? See if I can get it back to the original size. Now I guess I got to do this. I could put it over here like this, you know, and then just kind of like move the camera that way, see? Or the other way. Whatever you want. So, I kind of like it, like down in here. That's kind of where I like it, down the bottom. And I don't think it interferes with the chat. And yeah, so there you go. PRISM is always up in their game. I understand. Well, Faye, I know what you do for a living. And you do a lot of good work. So I can appreciate, when you say you've had a long day, you really have had a long day. It's not like some of us like me that don't work. So, all right, fist bump to you, sweetie. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. So, What do you think of this crazy thing? Do you think you like it? Does it work okay? Now its own data rate is fluctuating. Here on the phone, we're doing well. This was 600 kbps, now it's 1400. This little box I'm broadcasting at 720. Whoops. It doesn't need to be any higher than 720. I just think I need to make this just a little bit. Whoops, don't want to do that. A little bit smaller. Maybe down in here. Like that. There you go. Okay. All right. Now, you know what this means? This means we can do our, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I tell you what, kudos to Jake and the crew, man. These guys are like, they're doing some amazing work with PRISM Live Studio. They're always coming up with new features. Now, you want to know the bizarre thing? I'm actually using PRISM Live Studio on the tablet that's running this. So now check this out. If I wanted to, I can put my logo on that too, see? Joey, my brother, in Brooklyn, how you doing, bro? Oh, wow, I haven't seen you for quite some time. How's everything, man? Joe, I saw a picture of you and your lovely wife. You guys look like movie stars, man. It's like, wow. I walk around with my wife, I looks like a bad kung fu movie. So we're testing something out. PRISM Live Studio. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Fist bump. Ken Ron, how you doing, bro? All right, the whole crowd's in here. I love it. This is great. Joey, I know you know about PRISM. PRISM Live Studio came out with an update, and they now have an RTMP source. So I know you wouldn't, but I would. Of course, it would be like a mafia movie. Okay, we've got to be honest here, but no, but seriously, man, there's a picture of you and your wife together. The way you're looking at each other, it's enviable and it's beautiful. It's amazing. I love it. All joking aside, man, it was like really nice to see that. So about this crazy thing over here. Got my tablet sitting on the desk. Well, thank you for posting. It's encouraging to others, you know, it really is. Not everything is crazy and upside down and you know, people leaving and not getting along and stuff. There are some couples that make it and they do a very good job of it. So I think it's exemplary. I think it's important. And you know, Ken Ron and his wife, another example. It's great. Matthew, his wife, another example. Rob Ebner and Beck, you know, a lot of my followers are exemplary couples. It's great. Anyway, my tablet's on the table, pointed at the neighborhood. It occurred to me that we could do our little let's catch illegal scooters kind of thing. Now, right now, let's have a little trouble with the network. There you go. I understand, Dave. Take care, bro. Yeah, Dave's busy and he's working. Now, funny thing is, the tablet has a little bit of instability, but that's okay. It's this one that matters. And we're doing good. We're at 2,500 kbps. Japan is 1 hour ahead of us. It's 22:37. So, yeah, he's about 17 minutes before midnight. Yeah, Dave, fist bump, you take care. So we could definitely, like, spy in the neighborhood. But I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to find a faster network. It's the only thing about the RTMP system is that both devices have to be on the same network. And that means Wi-Fi. I'm using the Wi-Fi from the store because the lady gave me the store, Wi-Fi password a long time ago. Right. Actually, right now, Joey, you and I, all you got to do is change AM to PM. You know, wherever you're at. If it's AM, it's PM for me, and vice versa. Now, that's funny how see how they did that? Thank you. The connection from this is perfect, but about that guy right there, yeah, it's kind of weak. Yeah, it's just an experiment. What I'm probably going to do is get another SIM card, 5G, and one of those Wi-Fi boxes like I used to have years ago, because it's great. Everybody's hooked up to it, and 5G is so fast. That's great for traveling too. If you go outside the country, because then you don't need a SIM card for every member of your family who wants to use the internet. Just get a Wi-Fi box, put the SIM card on that, turn it on, and it propagates a Wi-Fi network that everybody can connect to. And last time we were out of the country, just as COVID was hitting, we were in Thailand. All those live streams we did from Thailand, we used one of those Wi-Fi boxes. It was very convenient. That was nice. We have about yes. There's a company that used to sponsor me. They don't sponsor me anymore, but I mean, nothing's changed with them. iVideo, just how it sounds, ivideo.com.tw. When I went to Thailand in 2020, just signed up for the box. So you do it online, and it's at the airport. Just pick it up, and you drop it off at the airport. It's like really quick. They have very fast internet here. Very fast. It's surprising. I was always surprised at two things about Taiwan. I've been traveling here, for well over 20 years. Mobile phone technology was very high. Internet connectivity is very high. But personal computer use is really weird. There are a lot of computers, even in this neighborhood, in the industrial park, they're running Windows XP. Or they might be running Windows 2000. Or, forbid, of all things, Windows Millennium. But it happens a lot in Taiwan. You see some Taiwan websites, and they look like a MySpace page from 1998. But the networking and connectivity is good. Now, this neighborhood is really old, and I had copper up until a couple of months ago when a guy, yeah. But the thing of it is, diverge a second. Diverge. I've had some programmers tell me that XP was probably the best version of Windows that ever came out, and it's kind of bulletproof. And I know guys that are running like DAWs, digital audio workstations like Reaper on XP, and the main part is the drivers, but a lot of the old drivers still seem to function. It's bizarre. But when I came here, I was astonished because I would be in an underground parking lot, like on B2, and still able to use the phone. I've seen connectivity things here in Taiwan that I had never seen anywhere else. Where, wow, it's kind of a jacked up Toyota. Where I would have lost, you know, with the CDMA system that used to be in the States, I would have lost connectivity. But here, GSM, it was amazing. I bought a T68. That's the world's first color screen. Of course, it was this big. Mobile phone. I think it came out in '99 or 2000. I forgot. I bought it in 2002 here in Taiwan. Annyeonghaseyo. Hey, one of our Korean brothers is joining us from Korea. By the way, and cheap too. You know, Joey, what a lot of people don't know about, and journalists love it here because they, how are you doing? 고맙습니다. You can get like a 30-day SIM card for like $10, and it's not throttled. It's unlimited. It's amazing. Not throttled. We're simultaneously broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, Africa TV, Twitch. It's amazing. Yeah, and that's amazing too, yes. And Africa TV is a Korean platform that I like a lot. I forgot all my Korean, but SolidWorks. I know people, see the best thing about SolidWorks is you learn it as you use it. I know people who design like bike parts, you know, lugs for frame building and stuff. And within 6 months, they were reasonably proficient. It's funny, Mike, you always say stuff that ties in. T68, first time I saw T68, a SolidWorks guy had it. Oh yeah, and the early days of Periscope, I was using 3G before I got a 4G phone. But Periscope was actually designed to be very data frugal. It was actually quite well done. And in today's 5G environment, the Periscope came back, you probably would never have a dropout. It was really very conservative. It was good about that. So, I forgot all my Korean. So, 한국 아닙니다. 미안합니다. Man, oh man, I had to pull that out of the cobwebs. Sorry, but for those watching on Africa TV, I've been living in Taiwan almost 20 years. And so I'm an American living in Taiwan, so 나는 미국입니다. And so now I live in Taiwan. Actually, it would be easier to have this conversation in Russian than Korean because I completely forgot. So, only Mandarin. And the thing is, it seems like my brain doesn't have enough room to hold a lot because I used to be fluent in Korean, and then I studied Russian. I was pretty good at Russian. I learned Russian Morse code too. Made a lot of contacts all over Europe and Russia, you know, in Russian language and Morse code. And I could hold a conversation, but I've been speaking Chinese so long, it's on my brain now, you know. There were some Ukraine people here. They've gone back. They picked a bad time to go back. But they can all speak Russian. But I understand it's a little culturally insensitive to just go up to Ukrainians and speak Russian. Nothing about what's happening now. That's just, you know. But if it's the only language you have in common, that's okay. But they speak English, so we just spoke English. And they were here studying Chinese. So I would talk to them a little bit in Chinese, but I would just say stuff like, Привет, добрый день, you know, how are you, good day, stuff like that. But Korean is a really cool language. I always thought it was like the perfect language because when you look at Korean words, they're basically just like circles, lines, and boxes. They're geometric patterns. But they're always comprised of two sections. And one section is the vowel and one section is the consonant. So, yes, they do. Right, because it came from Hong Kong a long time ago. Now the new influx is going to be from the mainland. And they have a really strong accent. There was a small window, I'm going to say between 1975 and 1980, where a lot of Taiwan Chinese came to the States. But a few times my wife and I have gone back to the States. We went to one restaurant, it was all Cantonese. We went to another restaurant, and the waiters from the mainland. And the food was significantly different, and in my opinion, better. It was really convenient, because we just, looking at the menu, we just looked at the guy, and we didn't ask him, we just started talking in Chinese, like, okay, yeah, we got this, we got that, so it was real convenient, but I will tell you what, Joey, I'm fun to take with a group to a Chinese restaurant, especially if you don't tell them anything about my background. And I usually get the waiter off to the side and ask him, what do you got that's not on the menu? Can I order this? Can I order that? I like to do that. And a lot of times you can get some amazing dishes that aren't on the menu, but the chef knows how to cook, but the restaurant doesn't want to offer it. And so Chinese restaurants, you know, they know the goal is to make money. So if somebody comes in there and they want something crazy, they're going to pay for it. They'll make it. So yeah. Well, I lived in New Hampshire, in Derry, up in about 30 minutes north in Manchester, was a place called the Taiwan Cafe, and they had actual Taiwan stuff, you know. Okay, sorry, I got it. There we go. Only on Twitch. Blocked him. Oh yeah, there you go. Now, Joey, do you speak Italian? You must. I lived in the North End in Boston. That community is very similar to the Newark community. And all the young guys could speak Italian. And there used to be a Prince spaghetti sauce, you know, remember, they're since gone, but Prince Spaghetti was located in the company was located in the North End of Boston. And they, that's cool, that's good to know. And they used to have this commercial with his mom throwing up the window and yelling at him in Italian, you know, and it's, hey Anthony, it's Wednesday. Wednesday is Prince Spaghetti Day. And I lived on Charter Street in the North End, and I knew where that window was. And to be honest with you, I think I knew who Anthony was too. So Joey, can you speak Italian? Sicilian, see? There you go. All right. Well, Excuse me. That's the one I think that was most common in the neighborhood. Yeah. That's cool, man. Please. All right, take care. Thanks, Matthew. I didn't see you guys. Wow, I didn't see any of those messages. Okay. Well, we should be back now. Is that true? Are we back now? And let me check my viewers. I think we're okay. Yeah, I was buffering for a minute. This is weird. Okay. If chat's completely unavailable, I have an alternative. We live. All right. Guys, if you wonder what I'm eating, I'm eating the yellow Cheetos. The yellow Cheetos are the only Cheetos I can eat because they don't contain phenylalanine. Because I'm a phenylketonuric, you know, like the stuff that's in like Diet Coke. All right, look, let's do this. We're gonna turn this off. We don't need that anymore. And it was fun, but it's just taking up too much bandwidth. All right. So we're totally on the Jar Jar network. Excuse me. And we have 2500 kbps, which is what I have it set to. So it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. All right. Now we have 2 viewers on Africa TV. Yes, they do. Can't really see, but they do. And we don't have any followers on Twitch since I banned that guy. But that's okay. I'm getting likes on Facebook. The funny thing is, very few people watch me live on Facebook, but they do find the replays. And I want to mention this week, yesterday, I released a new drone video. I shot it back in January, and I've been working on all this time. Of course, I've been working on the album for this guy. It's taken up all my time, which it should, though. He's paying me very well. It's almost done. I'll be able to play, as soon as this stuff's done, I'll be able to play it for you. I can't, preview it yet until he's done the official release. But once the official release is done, I've got permission to do that. Yeah, you mean Lucky and... Oh, yeah. Well, I do have DJI Refresh. I paid for it. I've been very fortunate that I haven't crashed it. Hey, Frank, how you doing? Good to see you, bro. Just talking about the fact that not many people watch me live on Facebook, and amazing. Walter was joking with me about flying behind the water curtain, in the waterfall, but the geometry of that waterfall will be that's impossible because water actually strikes the rock face all the way down. But I'm gonna find another one. I'm gonna do it. So what you have to do is you have to get over your fear. You're flying the drone the first time, you're nervous. Oh, I might crash. And finally, I just said, you know what? So what? It's not going to hurt anybody if I drop it into the bottom of a waterfall. Nobody will ever know it. In fact, If I ever wanted to decommission the drone, that'd be the way to do it. Either that or a volcano. It's flying to a volcano. Excuse me, sorry. But once you relax and realize that the worst thing that can happen is you're going to go home without your drone. Yeah, you lose the footage, but you do always have a 1080p copy of it on the remote control that's cached. And so you can use that if you want to. So that's what I like to do. Mail. Maybe we need. I was looking for a lighter so I don't smoke. So even though I'm shooting, you know, all this fancy stuff and 4K, ND filter and all that, I mean, the ND filter is what you get when you're looking at the, you know, at the remote control. So, wow, there's a mosquito stuck on my phone. So, even if you lose a drone, you've got a HD 1080p cache of what you shot. It's unfortunate, but with DJI Care, you pay a small fee. Within a week, they mail you another one. So, no big deal. Go online, at least in Taiwan, re-register the serial number of the new drone, pay 50 NT, which is about $1 and 60, you know, $1.60 US, and get a new number, and that's it, yeah. So it's not a big of a deal. So once you kind of get over the initial fear of crashing it, I mean, it's not like, what I mean by that is, you don't take a cavalier attitude if there are people around. But if you're someplace where it's going to crash, it's not going to hurt anybody, especially if you can walk over and pick it up and recover the debris. Maybe it can be fixed even. I don't worry about it. I just do what I want to do with it, and nothing reckless, but daring, maybe. But it's all according to my ability to fly the thing, and that's the key. So that's what I base my filming exploits on, if you will. And so with the Shao Wulai waterfall, because the first time I was there, that was the fourth day I had flown the drone, and I admit it was quite ambitious. But you know, Walter had on this new drone video, you can see Walter's yes. Oh, they are. They're very impressive. And on this last video that I did, right, you can see Walter's comment. Walter's the one that suggested that I make my own flight mode, because the stick controls didn't make any sense to me. And I don't have any experience with a drone. It's all new. So after I flew it for a couple of days, I go, no, it doesn't make any sense. And I watched some other videos by other supposedly, you know, drone gurus, and one guy was saying that he had no explanation. Sorry. Hang on. He had no explanation why his drone was losing altitude. But there's no reason for it to be stressful unless you might endanger people. As long as you're not going to endanger people, or you know that if your drone crashes, it's not going to start a forest fire, just relax. Nothing bad's going to happen. The worst thing that can happen is you'll lose it, just replace it. These things are not, you know, $5,000. They're not $2,000. They're cheap. And with the replacement program, I think it's $60. And I can replace it over the next 2 years. I can replace it up to 3 times. And I think I bought it in June or July, I forget. So it's coming up on a year, and I haven't even replaced it once. I might have to just crash it just to get it over with, get a new one. Funny, huh? But anyway, with the new, see, I avoided that crash that guy was saying on YouTube, because usually, like Mode 2 has forward and backwards on the right stick. Now you're looking at me. On the right stick, forward and backward, and then left to right is sideways. Okay, but on the left stick is turn. They call that yaw, where the drone actually turns, and then they have altitude up and down. What I did was the one that turns, yaw, I put that on this stick. So I have. Catch you on that in a second. So basically, with my stick, all I do is I push it forward to go forward, and when I want to turn, I just push the stick to the left because I put the yaw on the same stick, so I'm just flying like where I look. Probably so, but I gotta tell you, drone laws in the United States are getting draconian, like everything else. There's a new, drone ID, remote ID requirement that your drone continuously broadcasts this beacon. It tells you where it is. And the problem with that is that you can download an app from, hey Bernardo, good to see you, bro. Hadn't seen you for a long time. Holy cow. You can download an app on Google Maps, on Google Play, that will allow you to see all the drones in your area and where the pilot is. So if you're one of those drone Nazis or those Karens that walk over to people and go, are you photographing my house? Are you looking at my yard? Are you looking at my windows? If you're one of those people, you have plenty of people to go after. And it's ridiculous because one guy was flying over a beach and some idiot comes running up to him and goes, hey, are you photographing my daughter? She's a minor. So he showed him the remote control. He goes, can you tell me which dot she is? Because I'm 120 meters up in the air. Will you get out of here, you idiot? I mean, so anyway. But getting back to the flight controls, Bernardo, I haven't seen you for a long time, man. I thought you disappeared. It's good to see you. And how's everything in Germany? And have you tried any new amazing beers or other amazing stuff? Germany's got so many amazing things, and I'm just learning about it because we got a guy here, Andreas, right? Up here in East Taiwan, and he's making all kinds of German sausage and speck and all kinds of crazy stuff. That's just amazing, and it all comes from his home country. Yeah, I understand. Well, you got a real job and you got to work, and I know you work hard. But here's what happened with that YouTube guy. Because he had the turning left and right on the same stick as the up and down, while he was turning the drone, he was without knowing it, inadvertently pulling down a little bit, just a little bit down. So while he was going forward and turning the drone was descending, and before he knew it, he crashed. That can't happen with me and the flight control mode that I used, because I moved the yaw, the turn, to the right stick. So I don't touch the left stick unless I want to move sideways or I want to go up and down. Now, because I can turn left and right with the right stick, if I want to move just sideways, but I can also then turn with the other stick. You just have to be careful that when you're doing sideways motions, you're not going up and down. but you do sideways motions on a drone proportionally a minuscule amount compared to where you do turns, yaw, because you don't fly sideways because you can't see sideways, and there's no sensors on my drone sideways. So I only make sure that I'm like over the ocean or up in the mountains, and I always do a 180 or 360 at least a 180 where I'm going to go, or a 360 just to see with the camera at 0 to see what's above me. If nothing's above me, then I know I can go wherever I want. And then I'll fly sideways and I'll do turns and I'll circle things like that. I have practiced, being able to fly sideways and then add a turn to it to fly around something, right? So, oh, you did watch the video. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I did all that music in my studio, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So, I haven't actually released like any of the ambient type stuff, ambient music, Maybe I should. Takes a lot of effort though. I'm working on some new stuff that I think when I'm finally ready to release it, it's going to be great. But I got to finish the album I'm working on. It's called Sunsets, plural, or actually apostrophe S, possessive. Sunsets, Bones, and that's the name of the band. So you'll be hearing from them. They're going to be on Spotify. And I got a mix in progress. I'm going to finish it tomorrow. And then I got one more song. Then the album's done. Then I'm going to assemble it and put it together. We're going to make some last little adjustments to it. Maybe touch up some of the mastering. I think probably could be tweaked a little bit better. But yeah, then I'm going to release some stuff. And the song that my daughter and I did so long ago, that's been in the can. We got to get that out. But in the meantime, I'm writing yet another new song, and I'm anxious to hear what that sounds like. So I want to release that too. I'm not going to tell you anything about it, but it's going to be very interesting. All right, so. Oh, for those of you who wonder what this is a push button, because this is a battery-powered LED pack that lights up the whole glass, and the batteries are out of it right now because they're dead. But Matthew, how are you guys doing? How's your family? And how is your bakery business? Oh, it's going to be cool. I, of course, will tell the late night line group about the release before it happens. If you have any interesting photos that you would like to share, you can send them online. Now, today, my wife and I went to this place that has some really amazing salads, and we yeah. I gotta look at that. Sorry, I gotta look at that again. Oh yeah. Oh good. You hired 2 other people. That's good. See, that's a great thing about local businesses. That you end up hiring people. This is one of our salad restaurants here in Taiwan. This is in the mall. Wow. These people are excited. There's a whole bunch of offerings. Oops. Didn't mean to move that. I just moved the chat. Whole bunch of offerings here, and they are quite good. This is the other end of the bar here, and I end up getting. You can get like 4 like a little box with 4 different kinds, or 3 or 2, depending on how much you want to pay. This was like $4 for that. And chili mayonnaise. This was great. This is unbelievable. I had a great time with this. And you know, salad vegetables are really good, cruciferous, and they had a bacon cream sauce. All right, that was excellent. With vegetables. Now, last night, in front of my house, I saw the guy riding home tonight. As I was live streaming, I saw his car. My security camera caught a guy who was sitting in his car. Now, that's my van, but if we do this and we zoom in and we move this down, you see that car with the headlights? Yeah, did you see that? Let's do that again. We're going to run this back. Hang on. Watch. He's dropping this down. He's dropping it down. Look at this. Right out the window of the car, he drops a bag. Watch. Boom. Did you see that, guys? Did you see that? Matthew, that's astonishing. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah, you might need a bigger place. Well, that's a good problem to have. This guy dropped. He had the nerve to drop a bag of trash right on the street in front of my house. And then he took off and I didn't see him. And then, to add insult to injury, when I went out to eat, I came home, and these people who live in the same building as that guy, right down across from me, their dog was taking a dump next to my door, and I just turned around, and of course they're speaking Chinese. I said, thanks for the crap. My house is now a public latrine, thank you. And they're just going, calling their dog over. They don't care anything about the house, but I intended to pick up that bag and tie it on his door handle just so he would know that people. I know this kid. I worried about this kid. I met this kid like 15 years ago. A guy that I knew, his girlfriend is the sister's. Yeah, it was just like you know, like round bowls you put soup in. It's just food trash, okay? And this guy that I know was dating a woman whose sister is this kid's mother. And I've known him since he was like, I don't know, 14. And he started hanging around the wrong people and smoking cigarettes all the time, getting tattoos. You just know, I mean, you say what you want. Okay, you can call me judgmental if you want, but you know something? When you see people going down a certain road, they usually go down that road. You know, you see them set foot on it and they start showing signs of something. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, and it's not judging people, but you know it is. It's character judgment. And you got the right to do that. You have the right to judge whether people are good associations or not. And you know, he worked at 7-Eleven down there for maybe 6 or 8 months, and he was always there. He was on time. He was efficient, friendly, good. And then just one day he just quit. Didn't see him for a long time. Then I saw him recently with a woman and a baby, and I'm like, holy cow! I guess it's his kid. And he's got for a young father with a kid. Well, he saw me play guitar, and he wanted me to teach him how to play guitar, I guess, but I should have taught him just how to be a responsible man is what I should have taught him. But thing is he has a ridiculous sports car for a young father, you know. So, I mean, he's got like an air dam on the front and vanes on the front for downforce and a wing on the back. I don't think he's going to be taking a baby in the car seat on the track. It's just ridiculous. But it shows, it's just a record of poor judgment. But when I see him, he respects me enough that I can go, come on, man, what are you doing? This is your neighborhood. And, you know, a lot of the idioms that we use in English, although they haven't heard them, they do translate into Chinese. Like if you were going to say something like, you know, the dog doesn't eat where he uses the bathroom. It is sad. If you say, you know, here you are, you're dumping your trash in your own neighborhood. I mean, it's just crazy. It is sad, but a lot of youth in Taiwan don't have very good parental guidance. It's a cultural thing because here's the thing. Most of the parents work all the time and they're so busy and they depend on the schools to teach. And a lot of the kids come home from school and they go to grandma's house and they expect grandma or grandpa. And they're trying to, you know, they're old and they're trying to rest and enjoy what's left of their life. But they, you know, it's not their job to raise your kids. And so many of the parents expect the school to teach kids how to act and morality and stuff. I'm going to tell you as a parent, if you're a parent and you do not take it upon yourself to instill into your kids a moral code, someone else will. It won't be your moral code. And then you can't go back later and complain how bad your kid turned out because you didn't teach him. That's on you. Am I being judgmental? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Needs to be said, doesn't it? That's how it is. Because people judge me by that same ruler. Yeah. And I am a firm believer that in many cases, and I don't know why this doesn't happen, but in Asian societies, there's a tendency for this to happen more than in Western societies. But I think in many cases of wrongdoing, the parents should be held responsible for not teaching their children better. A lot of parents these days are more focused on their own thing, on their own happiness. They have children, it's just a matter of consequence of their actions rather than planning or rather than wanting a stable family unit. It's just something that happened. They don't think about it and then they're not prepared. So anyway. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it, Bernardo? But what's going on, right? They're needed, right? I think I know what you're saying, Mike. They're needed, but the parents shouldn't just slough the kids off to the grandparents. And like in the case of like even in my own family, the younger people go off to work and they just leave the kid with the grandma. And sometimes what's really bizarre is the young people have a plan. You know, their plan is to get rich, make a lot of money, buy a big house, be successful. And their plan includes having grandma raise the kid, but they don't tell grandma. And they don't compensate grandma. I'm not going to say too much, but in my own family, I had to get involved. And there's one thing that I can't stand is a man that won't step up. And I had to actually get a little bit kind of impolite with some men and remind them, I'm a foreigner. And I know what's right, and I don't appreciate having to tell you how to step up with your own family. You should know this. And it's always back channel. So-and-so complains to so-and-so, they complain to somebody else, they complain to somebody else, and then it finally comes to me. Well, as long as they're complaining over there, I don't care. When it comes complaint time to me, I'm doing something about it. So I tell people, look, I don't care what you do. I don't get involved in your life, but people are complaining to me. So I'm going to put a stop to it right now. And I'm going to tell you that you need to fix this, because I am not going to put up with the complaining to me anymore. So that's what I did. Amazing how that works, isn't it? Why do we have to tell people this stuff? Anyway. You know what's really bizarre? This is really bizarre. And this goes with modernism and modern feminism and presentism and the whole thing. But my father was an engineer for Honeywell. In addition to being, you guys know this, he was the first color TV tech in the state of Florida. And if you looked at my father, at his life, you would say, man, that's boring. He gets up every morning at 6. He drives an hour. He gets breakfast. He drives an hour to work, to go to Tampa, works for Honeywell. He gets off work at 5, and he comes home, and he's home every single night. He's never drunk. He quit smoking, and he isn't interested in sports, so there's, doesn't watch sports on TV, doesn't have a bunch of guys over the house, with parties and stuff. But he's reliable and predictable, and he has 4 kids. He bought a house on the GI Bill, and he's stable and reliable. And my mom thought he was boring and divorced him. And yet, modern feminism now, they want all this freedom to do whatever they want to do and not be traditional, but they want a traditional man. They want a man like my father. Home every night, predictable, not going out, not playing around, not doing stuff, not wasting money on gambling, not wasting money on anything, so sure. But they find those men boring, and they always want the bad boys. There was a woman in New Hampshire. She was one of my photographic models, and I was all the time dealing with her, listening to her complain about her romantic problems, because all she likes is these bad boys, and they use her for a couple weeks, and then they discard her like, a used tissue. And I'm like, what do you expect? Why do you keep doing this? I don't know, I can't help it. Yes, you can help it. You just need to grow up. My father was a specialist in the flame safeguard system. What that is they had an infrared camera. It was amazing. It's a conical shaped camera, okay? It started out with a wide base and then went up, got skinny, flat top, and it was purple, painted purple. It looked like a giant wire nut is what it looked like, if you guys know what a wire nut is. Giant purple wire nut. They call it a purple peeper. What the purple peeper did was it looked down a sight tube, okay, which looked right at the pilot light on a gas-fired system, because, like it or not, at the time, that was how all those systems worked. You'd have a pilot light on that when the gas came out of the burner, it would strike the pilot light and then light the burner. Now, if the pilot light was out, you didn't want the gas coming out of the burner, because it would build up and then there'd be a spark and an explosion. So the flame safeguard system was that if the purple peeper didn't see the pilot light, nothing would start. My father was an expert in that. The other thing he was an expert at was infrared monitoring and using the feedback from the infrared camera to regulate processes. He took me into one factory where they were making ingots, and it was a foundry. And they were pigging out steel, basically, and taking pig steel and making ingots out of it. And the ingots would come out of an extruder, but they had to be a certain temperature, and the only way to accurately measure the temperature was with an IR gun pointed at it. And if the temperature was wrong, it would shut the system down. But the other thing my dad was good at, and this is why we moved so much. I mean, I never went to university. You guys know that. I went from school from first grade to 12. That's 12 years. I went to 11 different schools in 3 different states. And what's really strange is from grades 1 to 6, I only went to 2 schools. So from grade 6, from 7 to 12, that's the other 7 schools. We moved around a lot because my dad was a troubleshooter. He would go to places where Honeywell was having trouble with their local engineers figuring out what to do and making things happen and fixing things. And my dad was really good. He was a logical guy. I mean, you see a lot of him in me when I'm talking about things. When I was 13, my dad introduced me, that's that car that was here before. When I was 13, my dad introduced me to binary math and core memory, which is toroidal magnetic cores that were wound with coils in two directions. That was early computer memory. So we spent a lot of time studying technical stuff. And he taught me how to solder. He taught me how to read a schematic. And so when I was 14, my dad started having me build test equipment. My dad realized that there were a couple of systems that Honeywell had. People could use Honeywell components to build a system, but there was no test equipment for the system. So my father designed a couple pieces of test equipment and had me build the test equipment. That was a really, really good thing and a good exercise for me to do when I was about 14 years old. And that really, because I understood the logic behind what he was doing, and it was real simple, but it doesn't have to be complex. You just have to send signals to things and you get a tally back on a light. So that was nice. That was a really good experience. I'm glad that my dad had me do, had those things. But when I was out of school during the summer, we traveled a lot of different places. I'm going to tell you guys a story I never told you before. It's amazing. Honeywell makes industrial control equipment and monitoring equipment for industrial processes. So it could be like a factory, like one factory, several factories actually made aluminum cans for beer cans or Coca-Cola cans. Other things, might be a paper mill or so forth. Whatever had an industrial process that needed to be controlled and needed to be measured. That's what Honeywell did. So in Covington, Virginia, now this is hilarious. In Covington, Virginia, there was a paper mill, and paper mill towns stink. I used to tell my family when we were driving, you can smell Savannah 75 miles away because it's paper mill there. Covington was like that. Covington, Virginia was a little mill town, and everywhere that you went, you smelled this stink of the paper mill. Now, it's not bad. It doesn't make you want to throw up, but it's kind of a strange, it's odoriferous, and you notice it, right? And people who aren't from there are like, wow, what's this? So, my dad, now all these people are dead, doesn't matter. My dad had a colleague who, his name is Mr. Kritzer, and I realize now, being an adult, Mr. Kritzer had a live-in girlfriend from Sweden. Wasn't his wife, I realize that now. And he just took her wherever, he went. And Mr. Kritzer was working with my dad on the Covington paper mill on the project. So on the weekends, there was this church. And they had a belfry, a tower with big loudspeakers. So Yeah. Oh, Honeywell has their fingers in so much stuff. It's amazing. You're right. But now check this out. This church, and I remember seeing it, had a big belfry, and instead of a bell, they had big loudspeakers, right? It's like, football horns like you'd have at Fenway Park or, Shea Stadium or something, And it's a high fly to right field. And these things are, 1,000-watt loudspeakers, right? And every Sunday morning at 9:30, they would start blasting some kind of gospel song, to show that the church was in session, if you will. So Mr. Kritzer wasn't particularly religiously inclined, as I recall. And I remember him telling my father this. I heard this directly from him. He said that he went up to the church one day and he just went inside to see what it was, because he'd been in Covington for like 6 or 8 weeks at Joiner's Motel, believe it or not. I still remember that. Gosh, my memory was good back then. And Mr. Kritzer used to tell me that old man Joyner would listen in on the customers' phone calls, outgoing calls, because he would hear clicks and stuff all the time. So Joiner's Motel in Covington, Virginia. I don't know if it's still there, if it's, descendants of Mr. Joyner. But Mr. Kritzer went into the church and it was open, but there was nobody there. So he just found the stairs to go up to the belfry, and he went up to the top and he found a phonograph record and a timer. And he realized that is what they're playing on Sunday morning. So, that's what those football horns do. Let me take a side note. I knew a band in Massachusetts called Southern Comfort. They climbed a couple of the towers at Fenway Park and stole some of the Altic Lansing drivers and horns off the tower and lowered them down. They used them in their band for the PA system. So for the lower end, they had regular speakers, and the top end, they had regular tweeters, but the mid-range were these bull horns. And the problem is, in the club, it sounded so unbalanced, you couldn't even hear the mid-range. But if you went into the parking lot, the mid-range blasted through the wall, and it was like that, like, it's a high fly to center field. You could hear the mid-range of the band 100 meters out in the parking lot through the wall, but in the club you couldn't hear it. So Mr. Kritzer realized how they were playing the Sunday morning music. So he went back on Saturday afternoon, and nobody was in the church. And he replaced their ecclesiastical record with Wilson Pickett's In the Midnight Hour, and queued the stylus up on the record. So when the thing struck 9:30, it would have started dun 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 dun, wow, going away too. So Mr. Kritzer made the mistake. He called somebody on the phone, and Mr. Joyner was listening. Mr. Kritzer didn't know that until he set his alarm, for 9:15. He woke up the next morning, and they had the regular worship music on. And he never went back up there to claim his Wilson Pickett record. But I gotta tell you, if that would have been It's too bad YouTube didn't exist back then, 'cause let me tell you, Wilson Pickett, who I think is like amazing, and that song in particular, you know, I mean, if that was blasting out of that church at 500 watts a side over the town of Covington, Virginia, there probably would have been some emergency room action or something. People would have lost their minds, but man, oh man, talk about a great moment. That's just my opinion. Great moments in history. I got so many stories of things like that. Thank you. But there's another story Mr. Kritzer told my dad. And we're over there with the woman's name was Heinze. And I mean, I was like 13 years old and I recognized she was like amazing looking, right? And she was cooking dishes I never saw before. So I recognized now these must have been Swedish dishes. So he had us over, and I mean, he, as much as it was in his temporary, you know, setting here in Covington, but these Honeywell engineers, they're smart, but they get off work and there's nothing to do in Covington, Virginia. I don't know how it is now, and I'm not being disparaging, but it's just a little whistle stop, you know, there's nothing to do. So on Saturday, they had a truck that Honeywell had rented for them to move equipment around, and they had not returned it. So Mr. Kritzer decided he would have a little fun, and he noticed that the windshield washer nozzles, the squirters, could be aimed. So we aimed them out to the side. And then he filled the washer reservoir with wine. This is a true story. I remember this like it was yesterday. And they would pull up next to people on the street at a stoplight, and he'd pull the washer and go like this, and it'd squirt people, right? Now, it was a rainy day. So people had their, you know, it was a cloudy day. People had their umbrellas, but it wasn't raining then, right? So, but people would like, they'd look up at the sky and they go like, and they might put their umbrella up, right? But a couple of people were like, and they're like, where in the world is wine coming? The wine's coming from the sky. So somewhere in Covington, Virginia, there's some old person that tells a story about the day that wine fell from the heavens, because Mr. Kritzer went around and apparently he exhausted his supply of wine in the reservoir because he had so much fun doing it. That's the way I remember him telling me. He did it for like hours, like the whole day, just walking around. Every time he pulls the stoplight, saw somebody waiting 3, 2, 1. Of course, you do it all day, you get pretty good at it, the timing, right? Because there's got to be a lag, right? So anyway, Diggs, what's going on? Fist bump. So yeah, that was funny. So he would be going, you know, and so when I see the pranks that people do on YouTube, I don't think that they, yeah, I know what you mean. I don't think the pranks that I see on YouTube, I don't think they're any near the level of the pranks that were going on back in those days with those engineer guys. They were just really, I mean, they would do some amazing things. So anyway, just like the old days, you know, Macworld's best hack was somebody put servo motors on an Etch-a-Sketch, so whatever was on the screen, it would, I mean, that's old stuff, but really cool, right? But anyway, I got to get out of here. I've been on the air for an hour and 20 minutes. I actually feel better than I felt for a long time. I want to be honest with you guys. I haven't been on, the last 6 months have been really hard on me. I have not felt well for quite some time. It's starting to reverse. I'm starting to feel better. Now everybody knows the HeyGo platform is going dead. They're going under on the 11th. And our good friend Dave in Osaka, he and I have been talking about whether we're going to do a swan song or not. I got to decide. I might do one last HeyGo tour just for the fun of it. But then again, I might not. I might do a HeyGo tour just to go in my studio and talk to people and say, hey, you know, sorry things didn't work out the way that they should have. And you can find me here on, you know, the Real Taiwan. What I'm going to do is in all my videos, I'm going to start posting a link to subscribe, because I understand that subscribing is an issue. You always have to go, if you're looking at a video and you, thank you, I appreciate it. You're looking at a video and you want to subscribe, you say, wow, I like this video. You got to go to the channel, you know, you've got to minimize the video, go to the channel and all that stuff. So I'm in the description of the video, I'm just going to put a link. So it's in this one because I was able to do it with PRISM Live Studio. But anyway, you guys take care, and we'll see you next time. And if you got any suggestions for videos, let me know. I'm still a little bit busy with this album, but I do have a couple of other things. Because you guys remember when I went to East Taiwan recently, right? I still haven't processed all the video for that. Thank you so much, Bernardo. Thank you. Thanks, Matthew. I really appreciate it. And I still haven't processed the video. I showed you guys in the late night group, you know, the preliminary video that I did just to show you the raw shots and the lookup tables that I did, you know, to color grade it. But I need to go ahead and edit that video, and I need to write some new music for it. I think that's really important. So thank you so much, you guys, and I'm gonna head back to the house and probably watch some Curiosity TV. And this episode is not sponsored by Curiosity TV, but I'm gonna tell you, Curiosity TV is fantastic. I've been enjoying it a lot, and it's really cheap. And I also got DaVinci Kids along with it for free. And I got another channel that I don't watch, but it's about food and wine. So if you're into that, check it out. You guys take care. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you next time. This is great, man. Love you guys. Take care. Good night. Bye-bye.